I'm Aiden from Pack Hacker, and today we're going to be taking a detailed look at the WaterField Designs Air Caddy. I've been testing it for about 2 weeks now, so let's dive in. So the exterior of this bag is made out of a nice kind of waxed canvas look. One thing to note is that it does look a little rough around the edges right now, but that's kind of just as it comes. Literally any kind of damage that you give to this, like just scraping your finger, will leave a mark that you can't necessarily rub out. But that is more the style of the bag and the material itself. As you're using it, it's supposed to get more rugged looking, a little bit more rough around the edges. It's more just kind of personal preference. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that. But you know, if you're a fan of a little bit more of a rugged looking design, this will kind of show the use that you do get out of it. One thing I want to know about, especially this kind of material with the bag, the waxed canvas, is that especially after the 2 weeks of use that I have had with this bag, every single time you pick it up, you can kind of feel the wax a little bit on your hands. I mean, as you're using it, probably past 2 weeks, getting into like a month or 2 months, you're not really going to have that issue as the wax will kind of start wearing down and not being as prevalent on the bag. But it's just kind of something to keep in mind. There are other alternatives to this kind of style of bag where you can get it in a leather or a nylon appearance or colorway. So by all means, there is other alternatives to this bag if you're not a huge fan of the wax canvas, but just in general. So with this bag itself, with the wax canvas, as you can see here, we do have the WaterField design right on the very front of the bag. It is a leather kind of patch that you can kind of that they stitched right into the front of the bag. I'm not sure if there is an alternative to leather on, say, the nylon alternative of this bag. So if you're looking for a leather alternative, definitely the waxed canvas is not the right one for you. There is not much to this bag, especially on the exterior. You do have just the main compartment as well as the front compartment here. One of the cool features that is on the exterior of this bag, though, is the self-locking YKK zippers. As you can see here, we do have a WF logo on them, on the poles, but they are a YKK zipper, so you know, a very good sign of quality. To activate kind of the self-locking feature, as you can see here, you can kind of just rotate them around a 180-degree angle. They work pretty well. They glide just as well as anything else. However, if you do put them in a direction where they lie flush with the bag, and you can kind of see this mechanism right here, that does mean that it is locked. But just keep in mind that any kind of rotation to the zipper itself will kind of disengage the lock. So it does have to be flush to keep that lock in place. And that goes with both pockets. So the main compartment and the front compartment of this bag have a similar kind of feel to them. The other thing I do want to mention right before we move on to the interior of this bag, as there is not a whole lot going on the exterior, is that the bag itself, especially with the main compartment, it kind of has a full non-stop kind of zipper to it. As you can see, it kind of rotates, starts here and then kind of rotates around the bag going into the other side. With that, it does kind of leave a little bit of a gap right at the very top of the bag, which, you know, if you're running out, you're caught in a rainstorm without any protective covering on this, you do have to worry about it not being completely weatherproof, as there is still that little gap right at the top of the zipper. But moving on into the interior of this bag, we'll open up here. As you can see, zippers glide very nice. The front pocket does have 2 elastic mesh pockets that do have a really good amount of give to them. This pocket is pretty decent for just like in general quick grab pocket. The bag itself is made and designed to fit in airline seat pockets, so it's really useful, especially on the plane travel, or you can even fit this in a bag or just wherever you want to carry it. It's not limited to just airplane seats. With that, you do have like I said, a lot of room. There is a lot of space that you can fit, especially in this front pocket. Like you can see here, I do have a set of AirPods I can shove in there, a little bit of a fake passport. And in addition to that, I do have my phone. One thing to note is that the pocket itself does not really have any gussets to it, but the mesh pockets do. But with that, it does mean that whatever you put in here does kind of feed into the interior space of the main compartment. However, just because the bag is pretty moldable, as you can kind of see, it's kind of warping up here on top just because of how packed I do have it. It does kind of stretch out and fit whatever you need. So you do have a little bit of room to play with, but at the same time, just kind of keep that in mind. Moving on into the main compartment of the bag, you can see that all the interiors of this bag are made out of a very nice kind of gold nylon to make it very visible, especially in low light environments. As you can kind of see, it is slightly shiny, a little bit reflective, so it should pick up any light that you're really running into and kind of help with visibility a little bit more. Just so it's not a straight color, you do have that little pattern on there that does give it a little bit of shine. On the interior main compartment, there's really not a whole lot to it as with the rest of this bag, where you can kind of see that you do have a little bit of a space right in the middle here to kind of fit any notebook, any spare materials, anything else that does not necessarily fit into the interior organization pockets of this bag. But you know, it does have a nice, good amount of space, but this is probably the biggest part that does kind of get fed into, especially when you're utilizing the front pocket. As you can see here, I do have a notebook there. And then getting into it a little bit more, we have 2 pen pockets and 2 other miscellaneous kind of organization pockets. As you can see here, it does kind of fit a mouse, it can fit whatever else you need, and a charger for the iPad that you would probably be carrying in this bag. As you can see here, I do have an Apple Pen that goes along with my iPad. One thing I do want to mention is that if you have like Gen 1 or Gen 2 of the Apple Pen, it kind of fits for both kind of purposes. So Gen 1 of the Apple Pencil, it does kind of have a separate charging station, separate charging way from the iPad. Whereas Gen 2, you can kind of attach it straight to the top of the iPad and it'll charge based off of, I guess, MagSafe, you could call it. But yeah, just with that, you can still close it up when you still want your pen to charge on your iPad. You don't have to worry about it kind of falling off, getting nudged, getting kind of just misplaced just because of how kind of tight the bag can kind of seem, but does have enough room to kind of wrap around the pen and just kind of keep it secure, especially when it is closed. But with that, there are 2 different pen kind of pockets here. I do have a separate pen right on top of this. So yeah, it does have 4 interior organization pockets, 2 pen, 2 miscellaneous. So whatever kind of organization you need, especially when it comes to an iPad, I think it does give more than enough for what you might need on a day-to-day. As you can see, it also has a kind of made in San Francisco and sfbags.com. So this one is not made out of a leather material. It seems to be a little bit more of a polyester, but yeah, just on the interior of the bag. One thing I do want to know about, especially the main sleeve of this bag, is that it does fit a 13-inch iPad Pro. Really works well in keeping that secure. Nice fit, does not kind of squeeze in. There is different sizes to this bag that you can get to fit different bags, but we do have the 13-inch iPad Pro kind of fitting one with us here today. They do talk a bunch on the website about the padded material. It does have a nice fleece on here, so even if you don't have a cover for your iPad, you don't have to worry about it kind of getting scratched up or anything like that. But they do mention that there is a nice padded material and it has a lot of security. It does have a pad. It is padded only on one side, however, as you can see on the interior of the bag, kind of padding, well, I guess the interior of the bag sleeve. It does have the padded material. However, you are kind of left without any padding on the back side here. So just keep that in mind, especially when you're keeping your iPad in there. You don't have to worry about it too much, especially if you're kind of using this as a separate storage within a bag. However, if you say are on a plane, just kind of keeping it willy-nilly, just kind of keep that in mind that anything on the exterior of the bag is not necessarily padded. Yeah, and just the last thing to note, as I said before, the zipper itself kind of goes around the 2 sides of the bag to give it a nice opening. And yeah, enough space to kind of look through and see what you need. But there you have it, the WaterField Designs Air Caddy. Thank you for keeping it here at Packer, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next video.